Hi, welcome back to Wrestling Fun with Father and Son. I'm Father Matt, and this is Son.
Hi.
And this is the week that's WWE. This is Raw. This is, Raw 29th of the 7th, 2019. And it said we are a week away from SummerSlam this Sunday, guys. So not very long. Next week, obviously, will be the Raw and Smackdown before SummerSlam. So that'll be their sort of go-home show before the pay-per-view. This week's Raw started off with a 24/7 promo video, didn't it? Where it went through a bit of the history and sort of, I don't know, about what's happened with the 24/7 belt over the last couple of months since it's been introduced. Then it sort of feeded into what they call a mosh pit mixed tag team match. A bit of a mouthful, that one. It was Drake Maverick and Renee, his wife Renee, versus R-Truth and Carmella. And with all the sort of jobbers, sort of people who have been going for the belt around the ringside, didn't they? And the rules were relaxed for the match, and they couldn't jump in and pin him at any time or anything like that. Match wasn't too long, to be fair. R-Truth got the roll up, didn't he? And then after the match, all the jobbers outside sort of piled in the ring, didn't they? And they sort of jumped on like a big dog pile, and there was a 1, 2, 3 count for who? Who was the person who came out of the sort of pile with the belt?
Mike Kanellis.
Yep, Mike Kanellis, and he ran up. Obviously, he's in a promo with his wife where she's sort of berating him, telling him he's no good, that he's nothing and everything. So he's won the first title, I think, the first title that they've ever had. And next, it was Mike actually in the backup, running away from all the jobbers. He went into a sort of a room, that said officials on the door. Maria appeared and she knocked on the door, and she got basically told them to let her enter, and that's basically what they've done there. Next, it was a US #1 contenders gauntlet match as well. There's a little bit, there was a lot in the show. It was condensed into 3 hours. It, to me, felt like there wasn't much, but there was actually quite a lot. Like I say, this is a US title #1 contenders match, gauntlet match. It was Rey Mysterio versus Cesaro. A very good match to start off with. Rey Mysterio got the first win on Cesaro. For the next competitor to be Sami Zayn, who came down. He attacked Rey Mysterio before the match, only then to receive a roll-up, which, to be honest, looked a bit poor. If it had been executed properly, it would have looked really good, but they sort of done a little fumble with the sort of roll-up, and Rey Mysterio got the win on Sami Zayn very quickly. The next person to come out with Andrade. Another good match again, and it was Andrade, wasn't it, who got the win on Rey Mysterio, and after the match he sort of ripped some of the masks. I'm wondering if they're going to have a feud going into SummerSlam. I wonder if they're going to have a match, because Ricochet then came down and he was the final person against Andrade. And who got the win out of Andrade and Ricochet?
Ricochet.
Yep, Ricochet is now the #1 contender for the US title again. Obviously, he's in a bit obvious, to be fair. He's in a program with AJ Styles over the last few weeks in the OC, and him being last kind of sort of gave the game away a little bit. But that's why I say that Rey Mysterio could be in a match against Andrade, because of that rip of the mask. Next, it was Mike and Maria again. Maria was berating Mike again and asked him to lay down his back so she could pin him, and that's what she done. She got the pin, and she's a new 24/7. She kept boasting that she's now the first pregnant champion. She went out, she was taunting all the jobbers and that. A note on this, I'm really not keen on the storyline. I absolutely hate it. I really hate this storyline with Mike and Maria. I just think it's poor. It's just not really executed, and now we've got to see, and not being funny, I think Maria's very good at the character she portrays. You know, it's got to me to the point where I actually hate her. So she's doing a really good job with that. But we're now going to have to see Maria with that belt and saying that she's pregnant for the next, I don't know how long. And I'm literally, it is a turning off point for me. I literally, if I was watching the show for, I do it for these videos as well, but for a personal reason, I would just turn it off there and not bother with that storyline. It bores me, and it's just not doing it very well. But that's just a quick side note. Next, Moment of Bliss, and Alexa Bliss showed a video of Natalya training how to get out the disarmer in a backstage sort of before the show, only for Becky Lynch to come down and attack her. And then obviously they sort of set it up that Alexa Bliss was going to be against Becky later on in the show, so she appeared on the Titantron, and they had a little bit of a promo backstage. Next, it was the Usos versus the OC versus the Revival in a nice little triple threat tag team match for the Raw Championships. Who got the win on this one?
The OC.
The OC, yes, the OC got the Magic Killer win on Jimmy Uso, who's been a naughty boy last week. He took the loss for the Usos, and we now have new Raw Tag Team Champions, which I could see, to be honest, because the OC are riding high at the minute. Next we had Viking Raiders versus some jobbers. Viking Raiders got a quick win. Becky Lynch versus Alexa and Nikki Cross at ringside. There was this match was sort of typical match, to be fair. The ending was a Bex Exploder to Alexa, who then feigned an ankle injury, which we'll go into at the end. She held her ankle. She had to be taken out of the match, no contest. Nikki Cross got up in the apron, said, you know, why don't you pick on me, basically. Then they had a match, Nikki versus Becky again, and Becky won with the manhandle slam, only for then Alexa Bliss to attack Becky from behind. So obviously that ankle injury was fake. It's a fake injury. And then after that, Natalya come down and she attacked her with the sharpshooter. And then next backstage, Natalya was being interviewed, and she said that she challenged Becky to a submission match, but then she said she wasn't going to challenge her. So I think they're sort of teasing that's going to happen, but you know what it is.
She said it's going to be her sharpshooter versus her disarmer.
Yep, versus the disarmer. Yes, that is correct. So they probably will do that, Kai. I think they've said it now. I think it's going to happen again with a week to go until SummerSlam. I think they'll do it. Next, Maria Kanellis was doing a photo shoot again with the belt, only for Braun Strowman to appear, and it was a bit strange. It was a bit strange. She was sort of taunting him a little bit, but yeah, it's kind of the story is who's going to appear in a pregnant woman. They will find someone. It's the WWE. They will find someone. Next, it was Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler came out to a certain type of music. What was it?
Shawn Michaels.
Yep, Shawn Michaels' theme tune. He came out, obviously, last week on Smackdown. They had a little, on Miz TV, they had an altercation with some super kicks and that. So that was basically to sort of play off that. After the match was just sort of getting to the crescendo of the match, where Seth Rollins was doing his stomps to the floor to go for that sort of stomp, the curb stomp, only for who to appear?
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman come down, and they attacked Seth Rollins, in quite a brutal attack, to be fair. I know they say that the WWE is not real and it's story and scripted, but some of these shots they looked quite brutal, to be fair, and they look like they could hurt. No matter who you are, you're not going to protect yourself on some of these things. There was an F5 to the ring post, where Brock Lesnar got him on his shoulders and threw him into the ring post. Then he got a chair, set it up with the actual back of the chair, like this. And he got him on his shoulder for an F5 3 times on the chair, where his stomach sort of connected. And
he done it on the stretcher.
Yeah, that was after that bit. We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, so he's done that, and you know, he did look. They did quite look brutal, to be fair. Next backstage, they were sort of stretching Seth Rollins to an ambulance, only for a brawl to sort of break out between the Usos. It was the Usos, the OC, Samoa Joe, and Roman Reigns, who was walking backstage as well. They had a little bit of a brawl in that, only for then the camera to quickly leave them, go to the ambulance, for the ambulance to pull away with Seth Rollins in it, to be stopped by Brock Lesnar, who then pulled him out, sort of tipped over the stretcher and did an F5 to the stretcher, just like Kai said. And yeah, again, that looked quite brutal, to be honest. He did sort of fall sideways on it, but I think he protected himself as much as he could. But Seth Rollins has had knee injuries, and to fall on the stretcher on his knees, it does look a bit dangerous. It's the trouble with Brock Lesnar. He do things quite, brutally. He doesn't really look to protect people. He likes to make it look real, and it did look real to me. So yeah, it was a good section. How Seth Rollins is feeling today, I don't know, but he's probably feeling a bit sore, isn't he, Kai, after them chairs and stretchers. And then we get to the main event, which was going to be the Samoan Summit. It was going to be Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns, but that didn't really happen, because Samoa Joe came out, said that the Samoan Summit had been cancelled because of the brawl, basically. He called up Roman Reigns, who then came out. Then they had to proceed to have another little bit of a brawl. Samoa Joe threw Roman Reigns into some steel stairs, only for Roman Reigns to then throw them stairs back at Samoa Joe. And then Drew McIntyre came out, and they had a bit of a brawl, made it a 2-on-1, only for Cedric Alexander to come out, didn't he? He came out, they all fought back up to the stage, and then the Usos and the OC came out and added to it, only for Cedric Alexander to do what?
He jumped off the top of the stage.
Yep, he jumped from the top of the stage.
He got everyone.
Yep. Yeah, he got everyone, laid them all out, and then Cedric and Drew went back to the ring, didn't they? It looked like he was going to do the Claymore to Cedric Alexander, only for then Roman Reigns to come back in. They sort of, the Usos, Roman Reigns and Cedric sort of fought off the Samoa Joe, didn't they? And there was a spear. And that was how they ended, with them standing tall. Go on, what were you saying?
And Cedric done a drop kick.
Yeah, he done drop
instead
kick.
of the Claymore.
Yeah, that's it. Drew McIntyre was gone for the Claymore. Cedric Alexander countered with a drop kick. Yeah, and then they all stood tall at the end of the match. So that was Raw. Yeah, there was quite a lot to go through, but it felt like there wasn't a lot. That was quite interesting, to be fair, how it felt. There was more content, but it didn't feel like it dragged to me. It felt like they condensed it quite well. Also, a quick note, we didn't mention that there was another promo with the Street Profits. I forgot to mention that. Street Profits seem to be just doing sort of... They do promos backstage. I've heard they're not really going to do too much with them at the minute. They do have a match at NXT TakeOver for the titles, so they might drop them, possibly. And then they might be on Raw full time. Yeah, so there was quite a bit to go through. Obviously, Maria is now the 24/7 champ. Got new tag team champs, and obviously that brawl and attack from Brock Lesnar. Yeah, it was. I think it was a quite good show. It was going into SummerSlam. It did sort of raise up the sort of storylines, and we know a few more matches as well. So yeah, if you like this video, then please like, comment, and subscribe. And Patreon is in the description, and we'll see you in the next video, won't we, Kai? So I'll say goodbye, and say goodbye, Kai.
Goodbye.
We'll see you in the week that's WWE Smackdown tomorrow. Goodbye.